Okay, so we have some testing to do as Enigma using Cash Out and Spectral Shield. So I've gone ahead and just drawn through the entire deck, right? So we can take a look at some cards. So obviously Cash Out, right? We know what it does. This is our silver generator. Once we have a nice big board of Ward, Cash In is our way to benefit off that and try to balance the scales, right? If we have the silver, if we have the gold, we can make Cash In a positive draw, which means that anytime we play a card to generate a Spectral Shield or anything else with Ward, if it's say 0 cost, and I'm looking for one, right, like Solitary Companion, this would then even out the deck. So for instance, with Solitary Companion, what you could even think about it is this generates the 2 silver for Cash In, right? If there's no other aura in the arena, we get to create that Spectral Shield token. So then when we cash out, we hit 2, we get 2 silver, we play Cash In, and all of a sudden we've recouped the card loss for playing Solitary Companion. Not quite the card loss for playing Cash Out, but it's still better than nothing. Now, the problem with the Solitary Companion, as I have seemingly lost it, right, there we go, is the fact that it's just an illusion action, right? It's not a new Mystic instance or an old Illusionist instance aura to put into play, so it is a bit detrimental. It's something that we'd probably want to set up on a previous turn or try to enable some way to give it instant. So what else do we have? We have the Tenants, right? Just Mystic Draw, Waning Vengeance. Here we go, this is a good one. When this leaves the arena, if you've pitched a blue card this turn, create a Spectral Shield token, meaning that when we cash it out, we will get that second Spectral Shield as long as we have pitched a blue. If we're going on our big combo draw turn, that's probably going to be the scenario. Now, the unfortunate side of this is we do have to hit it twice, right? So during cash out, it's when we designate to play the card that we may destroy X things, meaning that this resolves prior to the actual effect of Waning Vengeance resolve. At least that's how it's coded here on Talishar at the moment. This one's a bit iffy because this is a different wording to something like Wave of Reality, right, when it's destroyed, or, God, Phantasmal Hazing? Something hazing. Haze Bending, there we go, right, which is once per turn effect, right? Both of them have a more trueable sense, right? So it goes cash out, trigger, then cash out resolves, whereas this one should just be as soon as it leaves, which I would assume is as soon as you designate to destroy it. But for now, that's the way it works. So we'd have to cash out twice. We'd have to set up a big board of Waning Vengeance and then cash outs, generate the Spectral Shields from them, and then cash out again. Okay, so what else do we have? We have Relentless Coalescence. Now, this is a fantastic one. If you can get that counter, right, this is technically the best value you can get for Spectral Shield slash silver, right? So when this enters the arena, move any number of +1 counters from auras you control onto this, and then once per turn instant, remove a counter from it, create a Spectral Shield token. So in a combo turn, right, you can only really use this once, unless you set up on your opponent's turn, use it at their end step, and then use it during your turn, right? Then you get 3. But either way, it would be 0 for 1 Spectral Shield, which is already okay, or 0 for 2, which is then fantastic, right? Compare that to Waning Vengeance, which would be 1 for 1 silver, right? Because we can cash out Waning Vengeance itself, and then another silver if we get that blue pitch proc, right? So it'll be 1 for 2 versus 0 for 2, again, if we just have that counter requirement, where the Sacred Art really helps. Waning Vengeance, stir the pot, 3 visits, that's our payoff. Vengeful Apparition, okay. When this leaves the arena, if you control no illusionist auras, you may play your next aura with cost 0 this turn, as though it were instant. If you do, it enters the arena with a +1 counter. Meaning if we were able to cash this out, we could then go back to Solitary Companion, wherever it is, and play this at instant speed, right? And then the other nice benefit of that is we've most likely cleared the board, so we can then play Solitary Companion. And you can also do some shenanigans like Wizard, right? And we can control how things resolve. So for instance, I would assume it should work like this, but we'll see. We will Waning Vengeance, pitch a blue, not the Sacred Art. I want to keep the Sacred Art. We only want 1 of that, so we'll do that. Put that into play, then we'll put another one into play, and a third one, wherever it is. Blue one will do. And we've pitched a blue, so that's fine. And then we can put the Vengeful Apparition into play. And I'm actually going to give myself 1 extra action point, just so we can do this on our turn. I'll do that, pass. Right, so now if we were to cash out, no, it ate the action point. Why did it eat the action point? Or did I not save it, I guess? No, I gave myself a resource, not an action point. My bad. Right, so since we have the action point, right, we cash out. We have that blue pitch. We can then do the Waning Vengeances. So here, they're doing their proc, they're checking. Then we Vengeful Apparition, so this procs first. We get the buff from it, right, so pass, buff. We then do Solitary Companion, wherever it is. Since it's now instant speed, it goes on top of the stack. We let that resolve, meaning we get the Spectral Shield from it, and then we get the Spectral Shields back from the Waning Vengeance, meaning that from this, we've built up 5 more silver and generated 4 silver, right? Which is a nice little swing. So then if we add another cash out, I don't know if I put multiple, I did put multiple. We could then cash out them again. Now, obviously, this is where the hand size, action points all come into dilemma on how we actually get to that point, right? Because we spent, what, 3 Vengeances, 1 Apparition, 1 Solitary. So we spent 5 cards plus 2 cash outs. We spent 7 cards to get to this point, right? Which is more than you could generally do in a turn. And by going back and forth between our turn and our opponent's turn, then obviously our wards are susceptible to destruction. But even at 9 silver at this point, right? With the innate draw that Mystic has access to, even if we're just counting everything as cyclable, what this means is we can now draw through 18 cards for our deck, right? We get to draw a card, we get to pitch 1 card. So you can think of it as 18 in the sense of if we're getting cards we actually want to play, right? So that's where the other draw odds come into it. And I'm thinking that we might actually be able to increase the draw range enough to make the combo somewhat more reliable, right? So again, cash in, even if this is just neutral, but in this scenario of what we're doing, it's probably positive draw, right? Then you have Mage Master and Tome of Ferendale. Then you have the Tenants. That'd be 6, 8, 11 cards, right? Drawing through with them. Plus you're playing 5, so that'd be 16 cards gone. So 16 cards plus the 9, right? If we're finding them, or if we're, again, counting as 18, 9 to 18, there's, depends how optimistic you are to look at it, right? So yeah, I think we can probably get the draw range enough. It's just the correct order and making sure things stick around. Like a turn of for instance, playing 2, where are they? Waning Vengeances, right? So that would be 2 resources spent. We then pitch a blue. We can then cash out. We get 2 silver from it. That's 3 cards spent plus 1 pitched, unfortunately, to then be able to cash in. So that doesn't work in any normal scenario. We'd have to have a positive card in hand to then be able to recoup from that. So I think, in all honesty, the best game plan is probably just, again, Enigma's normal strategy. You're building a board, and every now and then you sacrifice that board, you start taking a little bit of damage, right, to cash it out. Because you don't need a ton of silver, right? Even 9 at this point, I would say, is to the extreme. With Melody, we've never worked in the confines of like more than 6, in all honesty. Anything more than that is just utter greed in what you actually need to do. Because then we have all, again, the other draw engines. This, in terms of pitch stacking, is already 27 damage, but we're probably still going to do the 2-3 visits, right? Whether or not we do it through Crown of Reflection or we maintain the crown for the positive draw, we still have the uphold tradition, right? Each 3 visits is 1 pitch itself. So as long as you have 5 cards, the 2-3 visits, 3 pitchables, that's already 2-3 visits, so 6 times 3 pitched. So that's already an 18 damage start, plus then whatever you can tack onto it, right? The gold alone would bump it to 24, 1 silver would be 30, 2 silver would be 36, 3 silver would already be over 40, right? So anything above that is where we get into the actual realm of making it a proper OTK for you to go to as a win condition for Enigma. And again, if we just play Enigma normally, maybe just geared a little bit more towards this strategy, we're basically generating ward, we're preventing damage, and as soon as we get a board that sticks just even a little bit, we can cash it out, get some silver, and then recoup a board, and over again. And a lot of the auras that we do want to play have block as well, so it's versatile in that sense. We can take all the normal draw, we take levels of enlightenment. You know what? Let me count through how many draw cards Mystic actually has and what the actual draw range of the deck is. Okay, so basically we have 2 categories. We have just straight cycle or neutral draw, and then we have what would technically be at first negative, but with cash in, you can technically make all of these neutral draw. So for instance, Armed War, right? You have to pay the cost and you have to banish a card. So one way or the other, you're getting that 3rd card mixed up into it, right, to then draw back to. So even if you pitch for the first one, pay that cost, overall, it would be cycle 6, but 1 minus from hand, right? Same with levels would be cycle 3, but -1. The first one you pitch to pay for the cost of all 3. Same with this round's on me, but that is still, again, a monumentous amount of draw, right? 6, 9, 12 cards that you could cycle through, right? Then if you throw cash in into the mix and you actually pay for its cost with gold or silver, each one of these covers 3 cards, right? Because you get that 1 pitchable to play them. So you play 1 cash in with gold. You can then draw 6 extra cards, so 8 cards. Again, do the same thing, 5 cards, the 3 levels and the cash in itself. Same with this round's on me if you really want to do this round's on me. You also have the Tenant, which in itself is similar to cash in, because say we want as neutral draw, we're pitching 2 cards to it, 1 chi, 1 other blue. We're floating 2 resources, which then allows us to play 2 of these other, generally negative draw and make them neutral. you have the first 10. If you can land this, right, it's just a straight 1-for-1 cycle. Tome, bit tricky because the action point, but we can easily just add in lead the charge and then it becomes neutral, right? Because, well, for the same thing, you need the 1 cost. So actually we should put it down to the maybe if we're using lead the charge, right? So 1, 2, 3, we get the action point to play it, and we're cycling 2 cards, we've only pitched 1, right? Because lead the charge doesn't have a cost. With the first one, you could tie in Mage Master, again, float 1 resource, and then be able to play 1 tome as positive, 1 tome with lead the charge as neutral, 1 tome with lead the charge and pitch as negative. And again, that evens it out completely. So if we actually count the draw range, right? So this would be 6, 12, 18, right? 21, 24, 27, 30, 31, 32, right? You can cycle through half your deck with these cards. In running these cards, right, you're taking 24 cards, right? Actually, minus lead charge, we're taking 21 cards. So 21 cards is a third of the deck. Is 1 in 3 to draw one of these to then cycle, right? So you tie in the Spectral Shield shenanigans and cash out, and I do think this is probably workable, and it's thanks to the extra range that Mystic has over every other class, because every other class can run, you know, Art of War, Cash In, Tome, and this round's on me. But having just, again, the Tenant to then take something like Moon's Wish and Sunkiss, which would be an extra 9 cycle, which is just absurd, right? Plus life gain too. So I love Sunkiss for this type of deck because you can play it on a non-combo turn just to, again, stall a little bit, right? But if you get that Moon Wish off, you can play each of the Sun Kisses as though it has Go Again, meaning that it's draw a card, go again, and gain some life, making them just straight up 0 cost cycle or, you know, 9 more Golgarian Tomes, right? So it's technically possible to have a 50 card deck. It's just getting the action point for Moonwish, which is where Lead the Charge comes into play again. With everything else we're doing, you can just throw out a Lead the Charge, gain the action points, right? Moonwish in itself, you don't have to actually pay the cost. You can just put a card at the top of the deck. If your opponent blocks it, if they don't block it though, you get a free Sun Kiss, right? So that's also a bit of pressure to help the 3 visits end up getting across. And then again, for 3 visits in itself, we've already gone over, right? Uphold Tradition, 1 cost, 2 swings, 2 costs, that's 1 pitch, and then each of these cost 1. So with a 5 card hand, with a single positive draw, you're able to completely play the 3 visit combo, right? So yeah, I think there is enough to go off here. It's just the actual strategy of playing the deck. And again, unlike Melody, where it's do nothing, the stuff you're building is protecting you, is providing ward, providing damage prevention, and you don't have to hit all of it with cash out, like Melody and say amulets, but just even a little will go a long way. Again, if we get down to 34 cards, and that does not seem unreasonable whatsoever in terms of just trying to fatigue, right? We can then try and go for the combo. And at that point, you know, the draw is 1 and 2, right? So yeah, I think it's surprisingly more reasonable than what I was thinking. It's just the actual nightmare of figuring out the exact ratio of everything. But I mean, technically, how many cards do we have here? We have 24. We have the 60 cards right here. So that's a very nice workable start. I'd probably put more attack actions in just so you can get Art of War a bit more reliably. So you can get First Hand of the Chi a bit more reliably. Probably stick in the Moon Wish Sun Kiss combo. Again, just stalling overall. I mean, the ability to, you know, play some sort of instant aura, right? And then just Sun Kiss for some extra life is decent in itself. And to take it over the top, you have a card like the Kimono, right? So when it's equipped, it starts face down. At start your turn, if you have exactly 1 life, you may turn it face up, destroy it, search your deck for an energy, reel it and put it into your hand, then shuffle, right? So we can turn the detriment of just hemorrhaging life over and over again, right? Having our ward just slow that down to now be this other benefit where we get to 1 life. We do our combo turn and we start it with 1 inner chi, right? We start with that +1 card, that blue pitchable, to kickstart all the draw, and that's utterly fantastic to me, right? So I like this card a lot more than I once thought. But yeah, that's the theory. Now we just have to work on the practical. So we'll leave it there, and I'll get tinkering. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.